It's our favorite time. It's interview time. We know you've been wanting another one from Crypnotic, and I've gotten this interview requested quite a bit. And I couldn't be more excited for this guest because we've been trying to coordinate this for a good minute, and this month has not been kind to us. So, without further ado, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Barry Shelton, and I am the lead singer for the band Sister Sleep.
I can honestly say I'm a really big fan of Sister Sleep.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
When I started listening to your stuff, I'm like, okay, I feel the MCR vibes. I feel the old school. It had this old school, not quite emo, not quite. How would you describe your sound?
That's, it's always funny because I feel like I always describe us differently depending on who's asking. Because, you never know. I feel like we're a hard band to, like, put into one category, which is a good thing. Most of my favorite bands are that way. But yeah, we're definitely like, a rock band with a lot of emo, post-hardcore, quote unquote, like pop punk influences, but like specifically like that 2000s, mid 2000s era of bands like AFI, My Kim, The Used.
I definitely hear that.
Yeah. We wear our for sure.
So, as I understand it, you guys just got started this past May?
Yeah. So, and honestly, like the way it worked was a few years ago, me and all the current members of Sister Sleep were in a band together called The Keepsake. And that band was together for a few years, and the pandemic hit, and we had a lot of time where we were just talking about stuff and having different ideas of what we were going to do, what was going to happen, and we just decided to start over fresh, new name, new music, new aesthetic, like everything a lot more focused.
Okay.
So we started doing all of the planning and writing and all of that basically in 2020.
So, with Sister Sleep, from like names and description and all, I definitely like what drives the sleep theme.
Well, for me, there's a few things. One being the theme of like rest and trying to I'm trying to find the best way to word that. Basically, try to like recoup and like grow and like feel better. That was a big part of it. Another thing was Sister Sleep is actually a reference to the old MCR demo track Sister to Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
My Camp is my favorite band. Have been since I was a kid, like pretty much like 14 years old. So I just thought I was like, oh, this is a cool way to reference that without it just being an exact rip off of a song.
Right.
Yeah, so that also, like, I mean, there's a lot of like layers to the name. The reason why we chose it, there's a lot of religious imagery and a lot of religious like underlying themes and references in the sense of like, especially like Catholic imagery and stuff. Like, it's very dramatic. I also grew up like not overly religious, but definitely in a religious household, quote unquote. So there's a lot of layers to it for sure.
I definitely know what you're talking about, that imagery, which brings me to your new EP, Wraith and Rosary, that just dropped early last month.
Yes.
Please, let's dive into that because I'm so excited about that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Where would you like to start?
So, when you were putting this together, how were you wanting to proceed from the music that you put out previously?
A big part of it was, well, like one of the big goals was to be a lot more cohesive.
Uh-huh.
We wanted a more streamlined, this is what we're trying to do, and this is what we're experimenting with and trying to flesh out our sound. That was one of the issues that the last project sort of had was, we're still learning, but then we didn't know what we were doing. That we were just kind of writing and doing whatever we want, which is fine, but it caused for like a lot of the songs to feel sort of like, oh, is this the same band kind of thing? And I think you actually talked with Kara from Spider Insider about that.
I did. That was kind
Yeah.
of something that Peachy was falling into. And I do think
Yeah.
that when you're in the early stages of a band, that is kind of common when you're trying to find your sound. And I know that I'm of the unpopular opinion that I love that about bands where they can even cross genres with different songs, but I
Right.
know that it maybe isn't the most marketable.
Yeah, it's definitely about finding a balance, because I definitely still want to be a band that we can do a really heavy song, but we can also we can do a ballad, and no one's gonna be confused by that. Like I said earlier, like a lot of my favorite bands do that. Like a good example is a band like Silverstein. Because they're one of my biggest influences and one of my favorite bands, and they are such a good example of a band that could literally put out any type of song, and no one's gonna question it.
I mean, I don't know how I feel if they did a country ditty.
I mean, it'd be weird, but I am open to experimentation.
Oh my God.
But,
So my current favorite songs are Orchid and Coffin Karma.
okay.
And I know that I think the primary single is Give Up the Ghost.
All three of those, I feel like serve different purposes. The big single, yeah, it seems like Give Up the Ghost has gotten the most attention. It has
that one definitely sounds the most MCR.
Yes, I agree with that. And like when we were in the studio for this, that was the one we were like, oh yeah, this is very Mike Kim. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do appreciate that all three songs kind of show off different facets of what we're trying to do. Orchid was very influenced by like a lot of like modern, catchy like metalcore stuff, like Bring Me the Horizon and stuff like that.
Oh, I hear it.
Yeah, like because they're another band that I love. All of us in the band really love, and like everyone knows they're killing it and have been for years. So that song was very much pulling from that, and I think that's a big goal for us with our sound is we're trying. There's nothing wrong with doing music like, oh, let's do a band that pulls from our influences from the 2000s. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I love that, but I think for us, it's very important to do that, but through a modern lens.
Definitely.
Yeah, like it's very important that we're doing that, but making it our own and making it feel palatable to like the 2020s, and not being afraid to take risks and do interesting things. And yeah, that's where that sort of stemmed from.
And what is the writing process like when you're coming up with these different songs?
So what usually happens is we have like a Dropbox folder of a bunch of different ideas, instrumentally mostly. Different members will upload their ideas, and we'll have them there to sort of like dig through whenever we work together as a unit. It sort of like streamlines the concepts that we have, because we can go to like bring it all to the table and go, okay, let's listen to these ideas that we have recorded and see what like pops to us, what feels good, and let's go from there. So usually it'll start with like a guitar riff or like a piano line or something like that, and we'll go, okay, let's see what we can do with this. So then we just sort of build starting from there and go outward. And usually vocal stuff for me, like I usually do it last. Like I'm working on it throughout it, but I usually try to find a way I write better to music rather than before.
Right.
So that's sort of what the process is like. We'll eventually get to the point where we have all these ideas. We'll demo it out, and then we'll bring it to our producer and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Spotify Wrapped just dropped today.
Yes.
And how did that Spotify Wrapped feel officially as your band?
It felt good, especially considering we've only been active for 6-7 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not too bad at all. It means a lot that we have as many people as we do willing to check out our music and that are listening to our music. And the goal from there is just to keep growing and reach as many people as possible. So hopefully next year will be even better.
So can current fans expect possibly any merch or new shows coming up from you guys?
Yes. We're actually playing this show on December 9th in Chattanooga, Tennessee, with Fault Lines, Speakeasy, and To This Day. And on December 17th, we're playing in Atlanta, Georgia, with Battle of Heart and Mind, Speakeasy once again. They're friends of ours. They're based out of Tennessee, and they're fantastic. So definitely check them out if you have a chance. But Honorable Mention and Tiny Banshee are the bands on that bill. As for merch, we currently we don't have any shirts or anything yet, but we do have like a spread of stickers, magnets, drink coasters, and stuff like that we'll have at the shows.
Okay. And is there a Sister Sleep website yet?
There isn't a website, but you can follow us on like all social media if you Sister Sleep Band, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Hive. We're on there recently as well. All of that, you can find us and keep up with us there.
Awesome. So as I understand it, this week you guys are going to be in the studio?
Yes. We are finishing up recording for our next release.
Even though your new release just dropped, it's like I'm already so excited to have new Sister Sleep to listen to.
Thank you. I'm glad. I'm super excited about it too, because it very much, all I can really say about it is that it works and pairs very well with the first release. I feel like people who liked Wraith and Rosary will really like the next one, but it definitely takes a lot of those ideas and themes and the musical direction we were headed in and sort of just doubles down. I'm very excited about it. I love what we've been working on so far.
Me too, and I haven't even heard it yet. So as a band, what do you kind of hope to achieve going forward?
For me, I really just think the most important thing is connection with people. Like most of my favorite bands, I love their music, but there's like a deeper connection with the lyrics or with like similarities with the band members themselves or anything like that. And so a huge part of that I want this band to connect with people and resonate on a deeper level than surface, I guess. And another thing, like we're very like candid and adamant about like who we are as people. Like we're, most of the band is LGBTQ. I and Kit, our keyboardist, we're both non-binary. And a lot of stuff like that. Like it's not like we might not be a band that's quote unquote like political all the time with like our songwriting, but some of it is. But like it's super important that we are being honest with ourselves and with everyone and pushing for progress, I guess. I want people to be able to come to our shows and feel safe and feel seen and heard and feel like they can, I don't know, feel comfortable with being their self. That's
Love that. Well, if you guys didn't know from my other interviews, it's time to talk about Punk Rock Saves Lives. We have been following their progress for a long time. They have been doing wonderful as a nonprofit. And if you don't know Punk Rock Saves Lives within the punk community, you might find them set up at different shows, festivals. They are out there supplying mental health resources for people in the community. They have a Facebook discussion page where people can talk about their mental health struggles. They are also doing wonderful things in signing people up for the bone marrow registry. You would not believe how many people they've gotten on there, and that stuff is saving lives. They also have fentanyl test strips that they give out, GHB date rape test coasters, and even emergency doses of Narcan. So these things are like literally punk rock is saving lives in this context. So definitely check out in the description box. I will have that included. Please check out crypnotic.com. That is my small business where I have year-round spooky goodies for everybody. And speaking of, thank you so much for doing this interview, Barry. I am going to be sending you a free Crypnotic goodie box for your time.
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. I love all the stuff that Crypnotic like puts out. I'm really looking forward to the gift box.
I appreciate it so much. So in the comments or the description box, you're going to be able to find the link to Sister Sleep, and you guys are on Spotify, Apple. People can find you on pretty much any streaming platform.
Yes. Yeah. Anywhere you can stream stuff, we should be available.
And if you want to find out how to go see a show, you need to be following them on social media. That's where you're going to find all the awesome Sister Sleep updates. And please check out punkrocksaveslives.org and Crypnotic. We're doing everything we can to bring you all the important updates and try to make a positive change in the world. And people like Barry are helping.
I'm doing my best.
Well, thank you so much for letting me have you on. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.